What's up, a Cinema Shogun here, and ever since yesterday when Leilani Simon got arrested, I immediately saw people hopping online calling for Billie Joe's arrest as well. As a matter of fact, I actually had quite a few people reach out to me asking me if I think Billie Joe will be charged. Now, for one, law enforcement says that they do not expect to make any more arrests in this case, but the investigation is ongoing. But to take it one step further, listen, I know once cases get to this point, it's almost like sharks smelling blood in the water. An arrest has been made, and now people want other arrests made. They want this person held accountable and this person held accountable. And could could she have made better decisions? Yes. Was Billie Joe going to have drinks on the beach a good look? Hell no. But I don't think Billie Joe wanted any of this to happen. I don't think Billie Joe ever expected any of this to happen. I know people think a lot of things about Billie Joe, and listen, if you've been watching my coverage of this case, then you know that I have been extremely hard on this woman. But after seeing how things played out, and especially after finding out that Billie Joe drove Leilani herself down to the FBI department and turned Leilani in, I think that says a whole lot. Because if law enforcement had to go out here and hunt Leilani down, if Leilani was on the run and we couldn't find her, then I would be singing a totally different tune right now. But when it ultimately came down to it, when it was time, Billie Joe drove Leilani's ass right down to the FBI department. Now, I'm not so confident that Leilani would have made that decision on her own. Of course, I'm not in her shoes. And of course, she got turned in. But I'm not so sure if she would have done that on her own. I'm thinking that maybe Billie Joe lit fire under her ass. Billie Joe was going to make sure that she was taking Leilani down to that police station. Now, like I said, I've had a lot of things to say about Billie Joe in this situation overall. But I don't think that it's necessary for Billie Joe to get arrested. Did Billie Joe make some mistakes? Yeah. We all make mistakes. I think that Billie Joe, if she could change things, if she could have switched things around a little bit, I think she would. In fact, I can guarantee you all, and I've never talked to this woman a day in my life, but I can guarantee you all that Billie Joe would trade the pain that she's feeling right now for a jail cell any day of the week. Meaning, if Billie Joe could have things differently, I'm sure Billie Joe wouldn't mind sitting in jail. I'm sure Billie Joe would rather sit in jail than to feel the pain that she's probably going through. So even though I don't think it's necessary for Billie Joe to get arrested, we have to keep in mind that Billie Joe is still suffering. Billie Joe is suffering from consequences, I guess, of her actions and the consequences of her daughter's actions. At the end of the day, Billie Joe lost a grandson and a daughter, all in the same messed up situation. And I am sure this turned her life completely upside down. Not to mention she's lost the peace of mind. So what I'm saying here is, just because Billie Joe may not be held accountable by law enforcement for whatever you think she may need to be held accountable for, she's still being punished. And I'm not saying that she deserves that or she doesn't deserve that. I'm just stating the facts that Billie Joe is going through a punishment that none of us could possibly imagine right now. Maybe some of you all could. I don't know. But I damn sure can't imagine losing my grandchild while also losing my daughter to the criminal justice system and losing her to the justice system because she took the life of my grandchild. I mean, there's no need to go into it any further. We all know the situation here. What I'm saying is that is, in my eyes, punishment enough. I don't think that it's necessary for people to still want to continue on this witch hunt and to have other people arrested. Now, if law enforcement finds evidence that other people were in on this, then hell, lock them up in a heartbeat. But I don't think we need to reach, I don't feel the need to reach too far to add charges onto other people, especially if Billie Joe was not even there. Yeah, I mean, I wish she did not leave the kids there with Leilani, but there were other people in the house. But I wish she didn't leave the kids there. I wish she didn't do that. But she did. Things happen. It's life. Life is hard, tough, and it's messed up. And like I said, I'm sure she wishes she could have it another way. I'm sure she wishes she was not out of town. But all in all, I think the focus here needs to be on Leilani. Because it was almost like instantly they arrest Leilani and now people want something else. I think that Leilani is the person responsible for this. Of course we don't know what happened, but I feel like in my opinion, I'm like 95% leaning towards the direction of Leilani being the sole person responsible for this. But I'm still wondering about the boyfriend. After watching how things played out ultimately, I don't believe Billie Joe knew, and I don't believe that Billie Joe has anything to do with this. I've been skeptical of Billie Joe all the way through. And like I said, if things played out differently with this arrest of Leilani Simon, then I would be singing a different tune. But because she drove Leilani's ass right down there and made sure Leilani got there, that speaks, that says a lot to me. And it makes me reevaluate certain things throughout this whole entire case. Because from day one, when Billie Joe got in front of a camera, and we can all judge her, I've judged her, we've all judged her, or a lot of us have, right? When she got in front of that camera on the news, local news, she said that her daughter might be responsible for this. So in many ways, even though it may have seemed like it at times, I don't think Billie Joe was necessarily... Was she being protective of her household? Yes. But in retrospect, after seeing how things played out, I don't think Billie Joe was ever necessarily trying to protect Leilani from being held accountable for what she did. I don't think that she was necessarily trying to protect Leilani from being arrested or to protect her from the consequences of her actions, even though it may have seemed that way. And it may have come across that way at times because the situation was a big clusterfuck and a confusing situation of straight chaos. But at the end of the day, I think a lot of times Billie Joe was being more so protective of her household. You have these intruders, these people from God knows where, screaming obscenities outside of your house every single day. And when she would come outside, in some people's minds, and it's easy to view things this way, it would feel like, oh, here she is protecting Leilani from being held accountable. But in reality, she was protecting her household. And she was protecting her livelihood. And she was protecting other people in her household who probably have nothing to do with this situation. And at the same time, Leilani is still her daughter. And yeah, we don't want to see her protect Leilani, but would you protect your child? And when I say that, I don't mean, because when you really look at the situation, especially after seeing that she's the one that turned Leilani in, it's not like she was protecting Leilani from law enforcement. It's more so like she was protecting Leilani from, the weirdos who are outside screaming 24/7. One of which is living with some dude who boned his own 19-year-old daughter. And I mean, there's a video on YouTube that will make you throw up about, we're not even going to get into that. We're not going to get into that. What I'm saying here is, though, I think this may have been lost in translation. I think that, during the craziness of the situation, it could make you view things a certain way. But I feel like there may have been a mix-up here. And I'm guilty of viewing it a certain way at times as well. But I think there was a mix-up here in the judgment of Billie Joe, just from the standpoint of feeling like, oh, she's protecting Leilani. When in reality, I feel like Billie Joe was pushed into a place where she had to be protective and she had to lash out. But it was never really towards law enforcement. It was towards random people standing outside of her house. But, everyone's going to have their different opinions on this, and I understand that. I'm not saying Billie Joe is perfect by any stretch of the means. None of us are perfect. I'm just saying that I don't think that it's necessary for her to be charged with anything, because I think that she's dealt with a lot, and she's dealt with enough, and she's going to continue to deal with this for the remainder of her days. But if law enforcement finds something that says otherwise, so be it. But I want to know what you all think about this down in the comments below. While you're down there, hit that thumbs up button, hit that subscribe button, ring that notification bell, and I'll talk to you all in the next video.